With the influx of new players coming to the PC version of Monster Hunter World, some might be curious which items are the most important to take along with you during every hunt. For the first starting hours of the game, I wouldn't really worry too much about all of these, but if you're looking to get a head start on what you're going to be using mid to end game, this item primer should prepare you for what to start saving up for and crafting now. First off, and the most important to your hunt, recovery items. You'll be taking but not really using a stack of regular potions, I'll touch on that in a second, mega potions which are far superior, and an entire stack of the very important honey. Honey has multiple uses, and one of the most important ones is restocking your mega potions by combining them with regular potions once you've consumed your initial 10. This allows for 20 mega potions to be used every hunt with these items alone, and you can even turn those semi-worthless first aids you get out of the blue chest into mega equivalents if combined with honey. A optional recovery item you can take along with you is a life powder, which is used to heal a group of players if playing online. This is good if you want to help support the team, but not required. Next, we have our restoration items that will help us recuperate as long hunts play out, or to get us back in the action if we've died during a hunt. Max potions are very important if you do happen to die out there, because you lose your benefits from eating at the canteen, which usually includes extending your health bar, and the max potions can be used to get your max health right back to where it was prior to your death. Also useful after death or just as time passes and your stamina depreciates, Well Done Steak will max out your stamina bar's length but requires a lengthy animation. Optional alternatives will be rations, which are consumed far faster than steak but restores less of your max stamina, and ancient potions, which function the same as max potions but requires much more challenging to obtain items to craft. Next, we have curative items that counter status ailments, and these need to be taken dependent on the monster you're hunting and environment you're exploring. You don't traditionally have room to take all of these, so learn the monsters and plan accordingly. First, we have herbal medicine that cures poison very quickly and heals some of your lost health. Next is null berries, which not many hunters inflict blight, but the ones that do reduce your max health drastically, and these will be vital to counter it. Astera jerky is useful to cure bleeding quickly, but is not required since bleeding can be countered by standing still and crouching as well. An optional alternative to herbal medicine is antidotes. They take much longer to consume and don't heal any HP, but they are easier to craft and they can be taken in stacks of 10. Next, we have our buffs that will be taken prior to battling. First off, we have Demon Drug and Armor Skin potions that can be consumed at the start of the hunt and will last until you die. These will give you a nice bonus to attack and defense. Next, we have Might and Adamant Seeds, which also buff your attack and defense, stack on top of our previous buffs we have, but they only last 3 minutes and they'll need to be consumed a little more strategically during your hunts. These also come in the heavier hitting pill equivalents, but since they only last 20 seconds, in most situations they yield far less results. Some optional items to consider will be Hard Shell and Demon Powders that function similar to our seed items, but will last a little over 3 minutes and will affect the entire team. If you have the extra items to craft these, go for it. Next is the Cool Drink, which is pretty straightforward, and you'll need to take these in very hot areas in order to counter the health degen in extreme heats. Know your environments and plan accordingly. Mega Nutrients can be taken if eating at the canteen yields less of a health increase than you would have liked, and these will extend your health bar when consumed. Lastly, we have the Mega Armor Skin and Demon Drug potions that yield even greater results than the regular equivalents. They don't stack on each other, but these require far more tedious to farm items, and save these for the hardest encounters. Next up, we have our snare items. First off, we have our trank bombs, which are vital for capturing monsters and knocking them out. Pitfall traps and shock traps are used to immobilize monsters, which then can be trank bombed twice in order to be captured. Capturing monsters in Monster Hunter World yields far more parts off a monster at the enter ward screen, but is less effective than breaking and severing specific parts off a monster yourself. An alternative to trank bombs if you're a gunner class is using trank ammo, which is more effective at capturing from a range. Next is utilities. Flash pods are very effective at knocking aerial monsters to the ground and can be very helpful in a team environment if used properly. Next are dung pods, which are used to make a monster leave the area, which is useful when you don't want monsters to fight each other, or later in the game when a certain annoying someone is always interrupting your fights and you just want them to leave you alone. Mega barrel bombs are most effectively used to deal the greatest amount of damage to a sleeping monster, since you only get one chance at one giant hit when doing so. Optional items to bring along are flash bugs, which allow you to craft more than the 3 flash pods you could bring along if you really want to go crazy with slamming a monster to the ground. Also optional and easier to craft with a little less damage potential is the large barrel bomb. The last group of items we have are our charms. These 4 charms will be purchasable by the vendor in town at different stages of the game, and just by having these on your person during a hunt will yield a nice bonus to attack and defense. These will be hanging out in your item pouch at all time, taking up valuable space, but they are well worth the stat increase. And lastly, we have my go-to item loadout in Monster Hunter World. I like to go in with a few empty spaces so I can take those first aids from the blue chest, craft them into the mega equivalents with honey, and this requires at least 2 empty spaces to do so. This loadout gets me through roughly 70% of all encounters in the game, and the last 30% of the time I will often swap out things like nullberries, cool drinks, mega demon and armor potions, but it really depends on what I'm fighting. Hopefully this has prepared some of the new players coming into the game for what's important to take along with you during every hunt, because I know it can be very overwhelming at first looking at that large list of semi-useless items. I've been there. You will see some unique builds out there. Take some items not mentioned here like dash juice and some other more build dependent types of items, but what I covered here is what I would consider the core important items in the game. Let me know what items you like to take along during each hunt that I didn't happen to mention here, and as always, this has been Deadite from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for watching.